All right, so we're diving deep into a true cinematic icon this time, Casablanca.
Yeah, Casablanca.
It's pushing a century old, but people are still obsessed. And we're going to figure out why. What makes this film so timeless? Why does it still resonate so powerfully?
Well, the interesting thing about Casablanca is that it takes these elements that we've seen before, the romance, the wartime drama, but it just elevates them, turns them into something truly special.
It's that certain something, right? So for anyone who hasn't had the pleasure, we're talking about Rick Blaine, this jaded American running a nightclub right in the heart of Casablanca during World War II. Cynical guy, seen it all. But you get these glimpses, these hints that there's more to him, that maybe, just maybe, there's a heart of gold under all that gruff exterior.
Right. And then Ilsa enters the picture, the love of his life, back in his world, bringing a whole whirlwind of complications with her.
Talk about an understatement. This isn't just any love triangle we're talking about.
Oh, absolutely not. The stakes are incredibly high. You've got this wartime backdrop, this impossible choice she has to make. And Rick, wrestling with his own past, his own cynicism. It's a recipe for powerful drama. And it just works. It works on this really human level because who hasn't faced a tough choice?
And here's the kicker. The story behind Casablanca is almost as good as the film itself. Nobody expected this film to become the icon it is today.
It's true.
No.
They were rewriting the script as they went. Some of the most famous lines in cinematic history, last-minute additions.
You're kidding.
Nope. Talk about a happy accident. It's like this perfect storm of creativity, and you just can't manufacture that kind of magic.
Pure cinematic alchemy. You got the history, the romance, these incredibly compelling characters. But what's really going on beneath the surface? Why does Casablanca continue to captivate, even after all these years? What do you think?
Well, for me, it's how Casablanca takes these character archetypes we think we know and flips the script.
Oh, I like that. Flips the script.
Yeah.
So, who are we thinking about here?
Well, take Rick. He's the classic cynical hero, right? World-weary, seen it all.
Check, check, and check.
But he's also flawed, deeply flawed. And that's what makes him so interesting, more than just some one-dimensional good guy.
And you can't talk about Rick without talking about Humphrey Bogart, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Bogart just embodies that world weariness. You believe he's seen things, made tough calls.
Totally. It's like you look at it and you can just tell this guy's got a past.
Exactly. And that depth makes his ultimate choice, his redemption, all the more powerful because we know it's cost him something. And here's another thing about Casablanca that I love. There aren't really any true villains.
Oh, interesting. You're saying everyone's a little rough around the edges.
More than that, everyone's operating this gray area, right? They've all made compromises, had to make tough calls, often with some serious personal cost.
Yeah, it's real life, isn't it? It's rarely black and white.
Exactly. And that's what makes Casablanca so compelling. It's a mirror to our own lives. We see ourselves in these characters wrestling with these impossible choices. It's like good storytelling isn't about good guys and bad guys, but about understanding why people do what they do.
Exactly. Oh, okay, but can we talk about the dialogue? Because, come on, here's looking at you, kid. One of the most iconic lines in cinematic history.
And so much more than just a romantic line, right?
Absolutely. It's everything. It's a goodbye, a hope for the future, this shared history between them.
It gives me chills every time.
Right. And it speaks to that idea that even when things are bleak, there's still something worth holding on to, some flicker of hope.
Okay, but we can't talk about famous Casablanca lines without addressing the elephant in the room.
Oh, here we go.
Play it again, Sam.
Everyone's favorite misquote.
Seriously. It's not even in the film.
But it just goes to show how much this film has seeped into our collective consciousness, for sure. But why is that? Why this film? What do you think?
Well, your source material had a great point about this. These lines, even the misquotes, they endure because they tap into something universal, something essential about the human experience.
Speaking of iconic, we got to talk about that ending.
Yeah.
Right in the feels. Did anyone else kind of hold out hope for Rick and Ilsa? Anyone?
That classic Hollywood ending, it's tempting, isn't it?
It is. So why do you think they went the way they did?
Well, as satisfying as a happy ending might have been, this ending, bittersweet as it is, it just hits harder, it makes you think, and honestly, it's braver.
Braver how?
Well, think about when this film was made, the early 1940s. Women, especially in Hollywood, they were often defined by their relationships with men.
Sadly true.
But Ilsa, she makes a choice, a real choice. And yeah, it breaks her heart, but it's also empowering. She's not just following some preordained path.
And can we just talk about Ingrid Bergman for a second? Imagine tackling that role, that emotional depth, without even knowing the ending beforehand.
I know, right? Apparently she didn't know how the film would end while they were shooting.
Talk about a leap of faith.
It's incredible, though, how that uncertainty seems to have fueled her performance. All that rawness, that vulnerability, amazing.
So here we are, we've got Casablanca, made almost a century ago, black and white, wartime backdrop, and yet it still hits us right where it hurts. Why? Why does this film continue to resonate with audiences after all these years?
Because at its core, it's about us. It's about the choices we make, the sacrifices we make, and how we hold on to hope even when things seem impossible.
That's what makes it timeless.
Right, exactly. Casablanca reminds us that we're not alone in facing difficult choices. And those themes, they transcend time. That's why this film still matters. It's not just a wartime romance. It's about resilience, sacrifice, love, and the things that truly matter.
We've talked about the story, the characters, that ending, but we can't forget the power of the film itself, right? The music, the dialogue, that black and white cinematography, it all just works.
It really does. Casablanca proves that sometimes the simplest stories, told well, are the ones that stay with us long after the credits roll. And maybe, just maybe, they make us ask ourselves some tough questions along the way.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this. If you were Rick, standing on that tarmac, what would you do?
You must remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by.